Before he was a first-round NFL draft pick, before the minor league baseball journey, before the ESPN desk, the speeches, the memes, Tim Tebow was the beating heart of college football. Not just a quarterback, not just a star, but a force of nature, a lightning rod, a warrior. And in 4 years at the University of Florida, he built a legacy that no one has matched since. This is the story of Tim Tebow's legendary college football career. From a backup freshman to a two-time national champion and Heisman winner to one of the most beloved and polarizing players the game has ever seen. In 2006, Urban Meyer was in his second year coaching the Florida Gators. The expectations were sky high. Florida had talent, but what it needed was toughness, fire, leadership. Timothy Richard Tebow, raised in Jacksonville, Tebow was already known statewide for his bruising, record-setting high school career. He chose Florida over Alabama, a decision that would reshape college football in the SEC and beyond. Urban Meyer's spread option system needed a quarterback who could do it all: run over linebackers, make throws under pressure, and command the respect of a locker room. Even as a freshman, it was clear Tebow checked every box. But in 2006, he wasn't the starter. That role belonged to senior Chris Leak, a more traditional pocket passer. Still, Tebow's presence on the field was electric. He was used in special packages, mostly in short yardage and goal line situations. He became a secret weapon. There were moments, flashes, that hinted at the future. The now famous jump pass against LSU, fourth and short bulldozes, explosive option plays that gave defenses nightmares. Every time he entered the game, the stadium buzzed. Florida rolled through the season, and with Tebow playing his role to perfection, they reached the BCS National Championship game against Ohio State. The Gators dominated the Buckeyes 41-14, and Tebow earned his first national title as a freshman backup with undeniable potential. But make no mistake, the clock had already started ticking on a new era. With Chris Leak graduated, 2007 marked the beginning of the Tebow era. And what a beginning it was. That season, Tebow didn't just play well, he made history. He threw for 3,286 yards and 32 touchdowns. He ran for 895 yards and added 23 rushing touchdowns. That's 55 total touchdowns in one season. He became the first player in college football history to throw and run for 20-plus touchdowns each in the same year. He was a true dual-threat quarterback at a time when the college game was just beginning to embrace that kind of versatility. But what stood out more than the numbers was the style. He didn't run like a quarterback. He ran like a fullback, lowering his shoulder, driving his legs, taking hits and delivering bigger ones in return. He didn't throw like a traditional passer either. His mechanics were unorthodox, often criticized, but the results were undeniable. He had touch, he had power, and he had timing. The Gators went 9-4 that year. Not the dominant run fans hoped for, thanks to a young, inconsistent defense. But Tebow, he was the one constant. Week in, week out, he put the team on his back. In December, Tebow was awarded the Heisman Trophy, becoming the first sophomore in history to win the award. It was a landslide victory, and it was deserved. And yet, Tebow didn't care about individual awards. Not really. What drove him was the team. The next season, he vowed, would be about one thing: redemption. 2008 is the year that made Tim Tebow a legend. The Gators were loaded, not just with talent, but with purpose. Urban Meyer had built a powerhouse. The offensive line was elite. The defense, led by Brandon Spikes and Joe Hayden, was fearsome. Percy Harvin was a human highlight reel. Florida opened the season ranked number 5. Expectations? National championship or bust. But in late September, disaster struck. Florida lost to unranked Ole Miss in the swamp. It was the kind of loss that could derail a season, the kind of loss that breaks teams. But Tebow didn't let it happen. After the game, in the post-game press conference, he stepped to the mic and delivered the promise. I'm sorry, I promise you one thing. You will never see any player in the entire country play as hard as I will the rest of the season. It wasn't just talk. That speech became the rallying cry of the 2008 Gators, and they responded. Florida didn't just win the rest of their games. They dominated. They put up 51 on LSU. They dropped 49 on Georgia, their hated rival. They destroyed Florida State 45-15. And in the SEC championship game, they faced number 1 Alabama and won. In the BCS National Championship game against Oklahoma, it was a clash of two elite teams, two Heisman winners, Tim Tebow and Sam Bradford. It was gritty, it was tough, and it was classic Tebow. He ran for hard yards, he extended drives, he threw 2 clutch touchdowns, including the dagger in the fourth quarter. Final score, Florida 24, Oklahoma 14. Tebow had done it again. Another national championship, another season where his leadership proved greater than any stat line. And that plaque, the promise, it's now immortalized on a wall outside Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Tebow returned for his senior season in 2009, and it felt like the start of a movie. A Heisman winner, a national champion, a team returning almost all its starters. The goal was clear. Perfection, and through 12 games they got it. Florida went undefeated in the regular season. The defense was dominant, the offense was efficient, and Tebow was, as always, the emotional engine. But perfection would not be theirs. In the SC championship game, the Gators ran into Nick Saban's Alabama, a team on a mission of their own. This time, Alabama got their revenge. The Crimson Tide physically overpowered Florida. Their defense stifled Tebow. Their offense ran wild. Final score, Alabama 32, Florida 13. The dream of a perfect senior season, gone. And on the sideline, as the clock wound down, cameras caught Tebow. Helmet off, tears streaming down his face. It was raw, real, and heart-wrenching. He would play one more game, a Sugar Bowl matchup against Cincinnati, and he ended his career with a bang. Tebow threw for a career-high 482 yards and 3 touchdowns. He ran for another. Florida won 51-24, and Tebow walked off a winner. His final record as a starting quarterback, 35 wins, 6 losses, 2 national championships, a Heisman, and a legacy unlike any other. Tebow's greatness went beyond the stats. Yes, he had 88 career passing touchdowns. Yes, he rushed for 57 more, an NCAA record for quarterbacks at the time. Yes, he had multiple SEC records that stood for nearly a decade. But it was the intangibles that made him unforgettable. Tebow wasn't afraid of contact. He invited it. He ran like a linebacker. He took shots and got back up smiling. Coaches and teammates said he trained harder than anyone every day. His leadership, he didn't just lead vocally, he led by example. First in the weight room, last to leave practice. He inspired belief, even in the face of long odds. His faith. Tebow was open about his Christianity, not in a performative way, but in a deeply personal, consistent way. He wore Bible verses on his eye black. He took mission trips in the off-season. He spoke about purpose with clarity and conviction. And whether fans loved him or rolled their eyes, they couldn't ignore him. He polarized, he unified, he inspired, and he won. So what's the legacy of Tim Tebow at Florida? It's complicated, and yet crystal clear. He wasn't the most technically gifted passer. He didn't have the best arm. He wasn't the fastest runner, but he was, in every sense of the word, a winner. He elevated the Florida program. He gave the SEC a new model for what a quarterback could be. He laid the groundwork for dual-threat stars like Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel, and Jalen Hurts. Off the field, he brought new visibility to faith in sports, becoming a cultural figure as much as a football one. He's remembered not just for the championships or the Heisman, but for the impact he had on teammates, fans, coaches, and the game itself. To this day, no player has quite replicated what Tebow brought to the college level. He was lightning in a bottle, a once-in-a-generation phenomenon, A player who left it all on the field and walked away a legend. Tim Tebow didn't just play for the Gators. He was the Gators. He ran with purpose. He played with heart. He led with fire. And in doing so, he gave us one of the most unforgettable careers in college football history.